This week on the Fan Club podcast. And today we are joined by a special guest. This is Luke of the Potter Player. Say hello.
Hello.
Does the world lose its magic? Today we will be covering Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Yeah. Just the feel of it. Like I found every Harry Potter film has a different feel, even visually. It's just different filters, everything. Just the feel of it. And I feel more immersed in it.
I think this movie out of the entire series is a masterclass in tension.
Do you like how the Warner Brothers logo throughout them deteriorates more and more as the movies go on? That is an interesting little tidbit. But Ultron wants to eradicate human life. Voldemort wants to eradicate Muggle life.
Hey guys, Editing Sarah here. So before we start this episode, I just wanted to let you guys know that our giveaway is still open for another week. It ends on the 22nd, so a week from when you are listening to this, when this episode goes live. Make sure you are following us on Instagram as well as Matthew's seasoning Instagram, which is smithandco.spices. And go fill out the Google form, which will be linked in our link tree. Please excuse the weird double audio in some parts of this episode. At some point during editing, I don't know what happened, but the files got compressed, and so and I was having a really hard time separating them. So at some points you hear us talking over each other. I'm sure that we were not trying to be rude. It just happened. Technology is weird sometimes. So I tried my best to make it not as noticeable, but some things are just, sometimes your best is all you can really do. So I hope it doesn't bother you too much. So, on to the show. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Fan Club podcast. My name is Sarah.
This is Matthew.
And today is episode number 57. And today we are joined by a special guest. This is Luke of the Potter Player. Say hello.
Hello.
Tell the people a little bit about what you do, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Luke. I'm the Potter Player. I create mystical, magical content, as I like to call it, on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all the socials. I dress up as Harry, do cosplays as him, do spells, just make original wizarding content to keep the wizarding world alive. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I do.
Have you been a fan for a really long time?
Yeah, I've been a fan for quite a while. Ever since I turned 9 years old and I first saw just a snippet of the Sorcerer's Stone with my cousins in a car ride, I was hooked on it. So ever since 9 years old, I just completely hooked on it. Never was obsessed with anything else as much as Harry Potter. There were obviously phases, but Harry Potter stuck with me to the end. So
I get it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's basically my life.
Yep. There's so many good fandoms, but Harry Potter always sticks with me. Like, I can watch a Harry Potter movie at any moment or read a book at any moment.
That's how Sarah is.
Yeah.
I'm that way with Marvel.
Yeah.
In anything gaming, as you can tell on my collectibles wall.
Right. I'm more of a DC fan myself, but I do enjoy...
What's your Hogwarts house?
Gryffindor, yeah.
I'm a Hufflepuff.
Ooh, Hufflepuff. Slytherin. Wow, we got diversity here.
Mm-hmm. We just need a Ravenclaw, and we got it squared away.
Team Unicorn
yeah.
is Ravenclaw.
I think they're both Hufflepuffs.
Okay.
My girlfriend's a hat stall between Ravenclaw and Slytherin, but she's asleep right now, so we'll let the Ravenclaw Slytherin sleep.
We always joke about how Slytherins always have pet Hufflepuffs.
Yeah.
They're emotional support Hufflepuffs.
Yeah, I don't know if the same could be said for Gryffindors. Us Gryffindors kind of like to do it alone. It's very like cliche. Like for me, it's just there's so many things about me. That's why I cosplay with Harry and just stick with it so much, as I relate to him so much. So like everything from house to wand type to wand core, it all correlates with Harry. I have a holly wand, I have a phoenix tailfeather wand core. It all lines up. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
I don't even remember what my wand was.
I think mine's like a vine wood with a dragon heartstring core.
Oh yes.
I know it. I don't know if it still is, but at least back in the day when the park first opened, because I went the first summer that it opened.
Yeah.
And when you would go into Ollivanders and you would like they would ask you for your birthday and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Your wand would like correlate with your birthday on the Celtic calendar.
Hold on. I have something really cool to show you. It's right here.
Oh, cool.
This is a sheet. I used to work there. I worked at Wizarding World.
Oh, yeah, you did. You used to work there.
Yeah, so I worked in wand magic where you teach the spells, and then I also worked in Ollivanders. And this is kind of like my little studio down here with all my YouTube stuff. And I was going to make a YouTube video on like working there. This is the sheet of all the dates and the types of woods.
So yours is...
It's been in my work pocket for 10-hour shifts in the rain and Florida heat, so it's probably hard to read.
Yours is family... No, that's May 13th.
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne.
Yeah.
And mine is Vine. That was really interesting because I've never actually I've watched a fair amount of content on YouTube of like people who used to or currently work at Wizarding World, but I've never actually spoken to somebody that has worked there. Is it a really fun job?
It is. The job itself and the environment and the coworkers, like, it's all spectacular. The only downfall is it's in Florida with the blazing heat in the summer, and
my parents live in Florida, so I get it.
Yeah, I love how accurate everything is, and I love the wardrobe. The wardrobe is so cool. You have like leather spats on your feet. All your vests and everything. It's legit wool. It's made by the companies in Scotland that made the film wardrobe.
So yeah, isn't it the same people who made like the Weasley sweaters and stuff?
Yes,
like that?
yes, it's the same. The actual designer, the lady who designed all the costumes for the film, she's the one who designed the costumes for the Wizarding parks. So like, I love how accurate it is.
Roasting.
But yeah, it's so cool to take pictures in and to like look at yourself in the mirror in. But as soon as you step outside on like a midsummer day or like a July or August day, and you spend like 10 hours walking on cobblestones in it, you're just like sweating, and it makes it very hard to like keep your guest service at like 100% and like stay in character and theming too, because that's a big part. But
I could never.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's super fun, but
does the world lose its magic?
No. See, this is the thing. It's like my girlfriend always asks me about this, and I like Universal. I love following them. I love their resources for team members and stuff, but like overall, getting paid minimum wage to do that type of work is like pretty crappy. It's not something you could do your whole life, and I was set on doing it my whole life. But even physically, I was like, I'm having back problems. Like, I'm young, I shouldn't be having back problems from walking around. So the Wizarding World is still magical to me. It still amazes me every time. I've been there as a guest since I've worked there, and I absolutely love it. I spend every minute in there. Just the only thing that like I do kind of have a sour thing about is just kind of, or don't have magic for, is Universal and like the pay and just like scheduling. Yeah, it's like you.
Does it lose its magic after having seen like the behind the scenes of like the way that the world works and backstage and all that kind of stuff?
Honestly, no. Like, I was afraid it would, and I was like, like, even if people ask me, I'll just kind of be like, yeah, no, but no, like it didn't lose any magic. If anything, it made it more magical because I appreciate it so much more. I appreciate little things as to like how they load a room to go into the Ollivander show, how many people they put in there specifically, and who the wand keeper chooses, or how they load you onto the Gringotts carts. Like, it's all super magical, and they somehow managed to keep their theming through all of it. Like, overall, it's a business, and they have to crank out the numbers. Like, we had to write down on our sheets how many people we got into every Ollivander show every hour, and we turn it in. But still, throughout the whole business process, they managed to keep it very magical and themed for the guests, and like that still doesn't get old. It's honestly more magical to me now. So
that's crazy. I've always wanted to know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never had a chance to actually sit down and have a conversation with somebody who's lived it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's. I guess it depends, because it's one thing if you're walking in from back of house of the park. If you're walking in from back of house for your shift to go work, and then you end up in the land. But if you come there as a guest and you walk through the brick wall of Diagon Alley or you walk through the Hogsmeade Arch, then it's like just complete magic. Like there's nothing taking you out of the world at all. So
that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that makes it more magical, even being behind the scenes, I used to have a water station in the back of Leaky Cauldron with all the workers, and I got to see everything come in, all the food, everything from the beans to the actual fish fillets, it all comes from Britain. It's all shipped overseas. That was one of J.K. Rowling's.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, it's so cool. Even like simple stuff like watermelon on a kid's plate or pineapple or muskmelon. Like that was part of J.K. Rowling's terms, was to have all the food actually be coming from Britain, so it's authentic, that blew my mind. But like every time I eat at Leaky Cauldron, I think
I never would have thought about that.
I heard they just released their vegan butterbeer.
Yes, I haven't tried.
I'm not a vegan, but I am lactose intolerant. So the dairy-free butterbeer would be great.
So it just wouldn't have the cream on top.
Yeah.
I think it's made out of cream.
Yeah, they did something different with it.
Okay.
But
so today we will be covering Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Yeah.
Why is this your favorite movie in this series?
It's my comfort movie, honestly. Even though it's so sad, there's so many deaths. It's just
it is really depressing.
It's like a depressing movie.
I wouldn't say most deaths, because Part 2 has quite a lot.
Yeah.
All the Death Eaters at one point running on the bridge.
Oh yeah.
I think the body count in Deathly Hallows Part 2 is probably the highest, just given that bridge scene alone.
For sure.
I think that's higher than Age of Ultron's death scene.
Why exactly is Deathly Hallows your favorite out of all eight?
It just the feel of it. Like I've found every Harry Potter film has a different feel, even visually. It's just different filters, everything. It just the feel of it, and I feel more immersed in it because you finally get a movie that is outside of Hogwarts, and you get to see the Wizarding World, how it works with the Muggle world. So you get to see the Golden Trio there all over the place. In the Muggle world, Wizarding World, you get to see how bad it's getting in the Muggle world, and you get to see how bad it's getting in the Wizarding World. And yeah, there's just so much drama, so much traveling, lots of cool...
I would venture a guess to say that Part 1 is probably the most book accurate since the second one.
Yeah, that's another thing I like about it. There's so many little details, like if you didn't read the books, you'd be like, what on earth are they talking about here?
And the things that they cut out make sense that they cut out. Like, I can get why they cut out that whole... There's a whole section in the middle of the book when they find Ted Tonks and Griphook. Not Griphook. Is it Griphook? It's one of the goblins.
I think so.
And I can see why they cut that out. Only because it's not that visual.
Right. Yeah, they just...
But there are other scenes where I'm like, why are we cutting out Voldemort's memories? Why are we cutting out Spew?
Yeah.
Like, I can get this.
Yes. Yeah, this one managed to... I don't know. They managed to get it all in, and like I'm not the biggest fan of when franchises take the last piece and split it into two or whatever parts, but but the way Harry Potter did it, I did not expect to actually end up having the first part be my favorite. Just, I don't know, I just love the feel of it. I watch it so much that I have the whole script of the film memorized in my head, and the music and all of it. It's a comfort movie for me.
I completely agree. This is actually my favorite as well, and for much a similar reason that you just described. It is Matthew's big criticism of this movie is that there's too much camping.
Yeah.
Yes. They could have added other stuff that they cut out some of the camping. Like, they could have kept in the important parts of it. Ron's getting angry part, and like...
The fact of the matter is, though...
The Harry and Hermione
They
dance.
cut down a really big chunk of the camping. The camping is so pared down in the movie.
Yes.
But
the camping is most of the book.
Right. Yeah,
But it's still a lot of camping.
Yeah, it's a lot for... if you're looking...
I think the biggest thing that the movie cuts down on is characterization of certain characters, Fleur and Tonks probably being two of the big ones, and Lupin.
Right.
But it's really a domino effect of the previous movies.
Yeah.
That it's not necessarily this movie's problem, it's other movies' problems, and them kind of dealing with the consequences.
Right. It also depends, I feel, what you go into the film looking for. Like, if you want to watch a Harry Potter film with a bunch of action and everything, like, and cool plot and just straight magic, I'd go for, like, probably Goblet of Fire, just action, 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 and then oh crap, there's Voldemort. Yeah. But if I'm going for...
Five has a lot of action.
Yeah, very true. If I'm going for to be completely immersed and just be able to relax, which I find myself wanting to do a lot, I go for Deathly Hallows 1. It's just cozy for me. It's comfy. Even though you would think like the nostalgic ones would be better.
I think this movie out of the entire series is a masterclass in tension.
Yes, because you feel the anxiety throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
With Ron listening to the radio for wizards that are being kidnapped and tortured, down to like
even down to like the way that Harry hears the Horcruxes.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't think is necessary. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've reread the books, but I don't believe that was a detail that was in there. I know he could like feel them. I don't think that the sound. I think that the sound was such a
interesting addition.
Yes.
Yeah. It's more prevalent in the second part.
And the way they literally kick... That's a good point you mentioned that, because they literally start the film with the sound. The Warner Brothers logo coming at you, it's literally the sound and the logo like rusting away, and then it snaps to Scrimgeour giving his speech. But yeah, that sound is like very unnerving. Like, you know something's going to happen. And like you said, full anxiety factor, it just... You're waiting for the next thing.
I do like how the Warner Brothers logo throughout them deteriorates more and more as the movies go on. That is an interesting little tidbit, because I can't think of another time anyone's done that besides Futurama with Fox, with the 30th Century Fox on Futurama.
Yeah. Like, I think of, like, the Dark Knight trilogy, how they maybe kind of do, like, a different filter over it, the Warner Brothers, but nothing, nothing.
Franchise.
It really is. Not to bring this into it, but it's like it's its own era.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate how film. Obviously, it's part of a franchise, so like somebody coming into part one is not going to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But you could watch each film individually and still
have a general idea of what's going on.
Yeah, and it's such an isolated. Each film has such its own era, its own vibe, its own own thing going on. I sometimes wish the bridge between directors was a little bit clearer. I wish there wasn't so much of a
massive jump between two.
Yeah, it's weird, and then at the same time it also benefits because it gives each film its own like style. But yeah, I was honestly thinking, this is kind of off track, but I was thinking of how David Yates managed to direct like films 5 through 8, right? And then he goes and he directs the Fantastic Beasts films, and like I don't know how I feel like he lost his touch with those films as far as directing style. Like I watched Deathly Hallows last night, and I'm like, just the opening sequence, the Obliviate sequence, and Hermione's walking to the church, and then fade to black. And then immediately kicks in with the Snape music flying to Malfoy Manor. I paused it and I said to my girlfriend, I'm like, that's how you start a movie. Like, this is a masterpiece. How did he not do this with Fantastic Beasts? Like, certain Fantastic Beasts is good,
and I love that we get to see Hermione's bedroom. I'm a nerd for the details. I love like costume design. I love set design. I love like little characterizations. Apparently, Emma Watson like designed her own bedroom. Cool. Like she told the set designers that the room needed more books. She drew all of the art in the room like herself as a child. Like they used like some of Emma Watson's actual art as a child. The woman who plays Hermione's mom is Michelle Fairley, who is Catelyn Stark Game of Thrones.
And what's her name in Bridgerton?
Yeah, she's in the most recent season of the Bridgerton. She is King George III's mom.
Gotcha.
I got bored of it a couple episodes in. But yeah, I love this little touch of the Obliviate scene and how heartbroken she is, and the pictures that they use are actual pictures.
Yeah, and they paced it so well just in that opening. They could have done a full 5-minute long scene of just Hermione obliviating her parents, working up the courage, but they chose to pace it so well at the beginning and flip between each of the 3 characters, and you were able to understand what happened in a quick way.
And each actor is so good about portraying just their anxiety.
Yeah, Harry.
And hey, we don't know when this is going to start.
Just Harry in his room looking at the mirror, and he's the Dursleys are leaving, and he's kind of just chilling in the house alone. He doesn't know what's going to happen. And then Ron is just...
Ooh, thank you for bringing up the mirror. I love this movie, except for that. And it's not even this movie's problem. It's the fact that they never brought it up in 5.
Not at all. Even in Deathly Hallows 1 and 2, they didn't describe it enough. For people who just want to casually watch the films, they didn't describe it enough. All they were
So for those that maybe don't remember or that never read the book, in the end of book 5, or in book 5, Harry is given a mirror. It's basically wizard FaceTime. He can communicate with Sirius. It gets broken, and Harry finds the shard at the bottom of his suitcase in 5, and he just kind of discards it. He doesn't think about it. And he slowly starts, in Deathly Hallows, he starts slowly seeing an eye that he thinks is Dumbledore's eye in the mirror. And it ultimately becomes a huge plot point because it's what sends Dobby to them. And to be fair, at the time, they didn't know that mirror would be important when they were making time.
That's true. That's very true.
So I can give them a little credit.
But then at the same time, in the Deathly Hallows 1 film, they could have at least, explained it a little more. All it was, okay, he's got this weird mirror, he's seeing an eye, and then he keeps looking at it in the woods, and then all of a sudden, Deathly Hallows 2, oh, you're the dude in the mirror. It's okay, cool, but kind of explain how he got the mirror in the first place. Otherwise, just where did he get this? But, yeah.
Well, I've seen multiple and heard multiple people who either didn't remember or didn't read the book, and this whole plot point is so random. And it's such an otherwise near perfect movie.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame that this is what they dropped the ball on in hindsight.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm really crossing my fingers for in the reboot series.
See all the details.
So, yeah. Then they basically goes to the Dursleys. Oh yeah, and the book has a whole extended thing about Dudley and Petunia kind of having their
goodbyes with Harry.
A much more fleshed out kind of thing. There is a deleted scene of Petunia.
And then there's also the deleted scene with
Neville.
Dudley.
Dursley.
Or not Neville.
Dudley.
Call him Neville. Dudley,
yeah. Those, I don't know.
Where he's you're not that bad.
I think that scene with Petunia is so important to her greater
right, because you never see her again in the films.
Well, other than Saint First Memory.
That's true.
But you never see Fiona Shaw again.
That would have redeemed her a little bit, in my opinion.
Well, and they also, again, this is another domino effect. This is a common occurrence, but that they dropped the ball with the whole Remember My Last thing in 5. That they never mentioned that, which then comes into play here.
Yeah.
And so it was really, I think they just, even if they waited 1 year to make 5, they would have had all the information.
Yeah, they could have finished it out strong. the whole second half.
And yeah, I think really it was a matter of 7 wasn't out yet.
Yeah.
The book wasn't out yet, and they didn't have all the information that we have. They couldn't possibly have known how important some of this character development would be. So it's a shame in retrospect, but at the same time, I guess it's just something to hold out hope for with the series.
Yeah, there's certain pieces like that. I think like, oh man, watching the deleted scenes, I'm like, oh man, that would have been cool to see. But then at the same time, I watched the full film in its entirety as it is, and I'm like, it's still just my favorite film. Like, I don't even need anything else.
Yeah, no. And it's not to discredit how great this movie is at all.
It's just different. Every single film.
And I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I'm not one of those fans that needs to like I love the movies as they are, but I have a hard time kind of not noticing things.
And then when I find every plot hole in existence.
So then we get the start of the Battle of the Seven Potters scene where everybody arrives at the Privet Drive.
Polyjuice.
And I love this Seven Potter scene.
It's great.
Polyjuice scene.
It's great.
Because it was Daniel Radcliffe acting like how everyone else would act.
I didn't need to see Daniel Radcliffe in a brawl, but we got it.
But it was just funny how Daniel Radcliffe had to act like Hermione, had to act like Ron, had to act like everyone.
And he observed everybody's mannerisms and everything.
Kind of like when Hermione had to act like Bellatrix as Bellatrix acting like Hermione. Going to Gringotts was still interesting.
You don't even... It doesn't even pass your mind. Like, you just know they're a good actor, that they were able to pull that off. When I'm watching him transform and take the clothes off and stuff, I'm not even thinking, oh, he's pretending to be them. Like, I'm like, nope, that's them. They're pretending to be Harry. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's such a chaotic scene with the room just panning, and you see everyone looking normal, and then when you get to the last person, everyone's just Harry.
This movie has 2 of these circular shots. One of which is right here. And one of which is when Hermione is in the forest and observes Scabier.
Yeah, with the shield.
The guy with the scarf.
Yes, I love Scabier. He's so cool.
I do kind of wish we were able to see the first battle of Hogwarts at the end of 6. And that way we got a little bit more explanation about Bill getting attacked by Greyback. There's just this random throwaway line about him licking his
picked it up from a werewolf named Greyback, hope to repay the favor someday. It's like, you just watching those scenes, it's just, there's so many little pieces thrown in. It's like, you have to rewatch it.
Well, and Tonks, throws randomly at Patty mentions she's pregnant.
Yeah, she's like, didn't even get to finish her sentence, and Mad Eye barges in. It's like...
But she doesn't even... She touches her stomach, and she gets interrupted, so you're inferring that she's pregnant. However, at the end of 7, when he, talks to... the ghosts of his parents, with the resurrection stone...
Yeah, he's like, what about your son? He's like, oh, there's no...
And it's like, oh...
Yeah, he knows.
And it's like, this is the only 2 references we get that Teddy exists.
Yeah, I love the whole Polyjuice scene, and I just watch it over and over, and I watch every single... There's so many characters in one tiny room, and next time you watch...
We finally get introduced to Mundungus.
I just watch individual characters each time I watch the film and see what they're doing, and it's funny. It's great. Yeah,
I love how Mundungus is characterized as a mobster.
Technically, I was coerced. Always been huge in my...
So then they do the Polyjuice potion. I love the twins in this scene. The twins are hilarious.
The twins are always hilarious.
I love the have lots of experience with Mad Eye.
The goblin piss.
And then we go off And I love like the really sweet like synchronicity of Harry and Hagrid.
Yeah. Hopping back in the motorcycle. And then he, at least, like, I will say, I feel like Hedwig's death was so abrupt in the films. And it's like, they, at the very least...
Yeah, some people don't even realize that
they're just like, oh, she got stunned or something. Like,
well, because they don't, in the book, they hammer home 1,000 times that Avada Kedavra is green.
Yeah.
In the movies, they don't, unless you're really
you have to be
attention.
like a
they don't
attention really. Detail, or just a big fan of Harry Potter to know, like, oh, that was the curse. Like, they could have just put in a sound bit of, like, Avada Kedavra, but no, they didn't. And then she's gone.
Yeah, right? It kind of just looks like the Death Eater, like, hits her.
So why didn't they just apparate to 12 Grimmauld?
They go to the Burrow.
Or the Burrow.
They have the trace, I believe.
I'm pretty sure.
So that's they said that. They're like, we have to take a method of transport because you're underage and you have the trace. But yeah.
But if they went with, like, if Mad-Eye apparated them, the Ministry would not have seen that. Because it would not have been Harry, Ron, Hermione doing the spell. It would have been Fred, George, Kingsley, Tonks, everyone else doing it.
I think they would have seen that, hey, he was at point A and now he's magically at point B.
In the book, each pair is supposed to go to a different house.
Yeah.
So Harry and Hagrid end up at Tonks' parents' house. Mm-hmm. And they end up taking a port key to the Burrow. Mm-hmm. And this is when we meet Andromeda and Ted.
Yeah.
And I get why they cut this again. Like, this is one of those scenes where I'm like, okay, I could see where you were saving time here.
Because, yeah, it looked like everyone just went to the Burrow. Just took different paths to the Burrow.
Isn't that a little obvious?
Yeah.
Like, we know that this is a safe house. I get that they were trying not to, like, give away Grimmauld Place.
But wouldn't Bellatrix say, hey, let's check there since that's...
Since we burned it down last year?
Yeah. Like, hey, let's check the Burrow or check 12 Grimmauld because that's the Black family house, so Bellatrix knows how to access it.
Yeah, she knows it exists, but I imagine. I'm not sure, but she knows it exists. I mean, it's her cousin's house.
So she probably
She doesn't know that it's the safe house for the Order of the Phoenix, though.
No, what I'm saying is she could have sent someone over there, or she could have gone over there and checked and just waited to see if anyone showed up.
Can't imagine the trio opening the door to Grimmauld, and instead of the ghost of Dumbledore, it's just Bellatrix standing there like, I've been waiting for you.
She's just, like, sitting there on the stairs. Because I was waiting for someone to show up.
She'd probably, like, since she's so psycho, she'd probably wait for them to, like, sleep their first night and then, like, be chilling. Or go to get tea in the morning and she's just at the table. Like, oh, hello.
Yeah, I could see her doing that. She could pull a Loki and just... she is Loki. Yep. Just chaos. Chaos incarnate.
Wow, I never really thought about Loki and Bellatrix having something in common. Loki's way too calm for her.
Original Loki, not
I guess
show Loki. Loki from Thor 1 and Thor 2.
Okay.
When he just wanted to...
When you brought up the Burrow, about how the Death Eaters wouldn't suspect that, I just got, like, what if it switched where instead of a battle at Hogwarts, there was just a giant battle at the Burrow. So you have this tiny, like, house, and you have the armies of Voldemort lining up outside in the grass.
I imagine it was like that after Harry Ron Hermione.
Yeah, probably.
Wedding.
It had to have been. Like, those who got it. Yeah, it was so quick. Ramus is just, Harry, go. It's like, alright, we're gone.
Even in the book, that's not even a movie criticism. That's just a story beat that I wish we got a little bit. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I get it because Harry's, like, literally the most wanted person
in the wizarding world ever.
So I get that their priority was to, like, get everybody safe. But it does make me wonder, like, was anybody hurt at the wedding?
Because
we never heard anybody.
Did Death Eaters actually show up?
Yeah.
Or was it just more of the Voldemort image?
They legit... First there was the message from the Ministry, and then they started to panic, and then amidst the panic, they start apparating in, and fires starting, and then they're like legit, people are flying over tables, and that's when Harry wants to go fight, and then Remus grabs him and tells him to go. So then he finds Ron and Hermione, and they zip out of there.
Yeah, we skipped over the will.
Yeah,
the will and
Mad
Eye. Yeah, so George gets his ear blasted off.
And he becomes Voldy. Which is probably my favorite line in this entire movie.
Is foreshadowing for him losing a part of himself.
And then Bill somehow sneaks in just a super quick line of Mad Eye's dead. Like, that is another thing of so film.
I think that they put that in there because Domhnall Gleeson is the guy who plays Bill Weasley is the guy who plays Mad Eye's son in real life.
That'd be hard.
I think they put that in there just to...
Yeah. He just wanted to say that his dad's dead or something. No.
It was very unceremonious.
Yeah.
But
I think Hedwig got more of a ceremony than Mad Eye.
Well, in the book, like, Harry... Like, the guy... Like, not Harry, but, like, some of the Order members go out and find Mad Eye's eye. And Harry, like, is able to like, give it a proper burial.
Would you be able to Accio that?
Or no, sorry, they tried to go find his eye and they couldn't find it, and then it gets like stuck on Umbridge's door.
Yeah,
that's what happens, and Harry steals it and then gives it a proper burial.
Couldn't you Accio it? Like Accio Mad Eye's
I think it was already taken.
No, but like Harry Accio'd his broom from nowhere near him in Goblet of Fire for the Dragon Task.
True.
So couldn't he just do Accio the eye?
That makes me wonder if you could.
Yeah, I wonder. I feel like there has to be some type of distance limit on it because, like, still they were on Hogwarts grounds for the whole dragon challenge.
Well, even like when Hermione was talking about how at the beginning of this book, she's talking about how she at the end of the year at 6, she like Accio'd a bunch of the Horcrux books. And, like, the books, like, flew out of the office and went into the dormitory.
Right.
But she's still within the same castle.
But that would have been a lot of twists and turns, and...
It might have gone outside. I don't know.
Yeah, so...
I don't know. Umbridge must have just been waiting for that thing to fall. Just snatched it up as soon as she could.
Umbridge is a sick one.
So, yeah, they... George gets attacked, and then we get the
will reading.
Well, first before that, we get the most awkward makeout session of all freaking time.
Man, that's rough. It does. At least you get one of the twins who comes in morning. That literally saves it. It makes it like okay to be awkward. Like it that makes that scene alright.
Why now?
They just don't fit that well in the films. They didn't do Ginny justice in the films.
Do you think, personally, I think it's a writing problem.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's an acting
problem. I love Bonnie Wright. It's just she wasn't given the opportunity to really portray Ginny as she wanted to or could have.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that Steve Kloves is a Harry Hermione shipper, and that's why.
Yeah.
But I have no proof for that.
Yeah, I mean, I secretly ship Harry and Hermione, but, like, I love...
I do a little bit too
together, in my opinion.
Yeah,
at least movie Harry and movie Hermione.
I have notes on the Harry
I love
it.
Dance. I have a TikTok recreating it.
I love it too.
They're a lot sweeter to each other than Ron and Hermione.
Yeah, they're very sweet to each other. It seems like a pleasant relationship.
In the book, he's like annoyed by her. So yeah, George gets attacked. They make out, and then they have the will reading.
And George is just watching them, saying "good job" or something along those lines. Or
with the toothbrush in his ear.
Yeah.
After.
It's George because he has the bandage.
Like, wouldn't the toothbrush be infecting the?
It was the end of it.
But it's still in it.
He's just a kook, honestly.
Yeah.
He's just there for the lulz.
I mean, for all the pranks he made, doesn't surprise me.
I think it's just like
he's like, he probably couldn't feel the whole side of his head for like a solid week after.
I imagine his mom probably gave him like the equivalent of like.
I would either think pain meds or the spell, the actual spell will like stun your feeling for a long time to get your blown off.
Like an extra strong like Novocaine potion or something.
What is the spell that they used?
It's Sectum Sempra to curse off his ear. Because it was Snape.
Oh, true.
But he was going for the Death Eater's hand and missed.
Yeah. So couldn't they just find his ear and reattach it because
it was cursed off.
I thought that was just a sword spell.
I'm pretty sure they say it in the book where there's a line about like it's hard to heal because it's cursed off or something.
But I mean, Snape was able to heal Malfoy with it.
I don't know. Maybe they were not equipped for that kind of. I don't know why they.
Or maybe because Snape's the one that made the spell, he can. It's worse when he.
I don't know why Molly decided to cure him herself when they should have just taken him to St. Mungo's, unless St. Mungo's was infiltrated too.
I mean, the Weasleys are wanted. Harry's wanted. They're all wanted.
As it said on the movie posters, nowhere is safe. Like, you really feel that. You're like, they can't go anywhere. Nowhere's safe. They're in the woods. They're camping. They can't go anywhere. They're going crazy.
Yeah.
So the will reading, when they get the 3 most convenient items of all time. It's not really a criticism. It's just an observation.
The snitch, the light, the book, and the light thing.
The deluminator. The put outer.
What?
In the first chapter of the first book, it's called the put outer.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Albus's mom was thinking, giving him like 3 middle names. Guess that's what they did in the 1800s.
Percival Wulfric Bryan.
I mean, some cultures still do it that way.
So yeah, they have the will, and then I like the little bits of normalcy.
Yeah.
The guys are like raising the
and they're just blown away that the minister showed up at their house.
I still say being a wizard contractor would be the perfect job. Because you could finish the job in 5 minutes in the Muggle world. And you could just make bank.
And Scrimgeour is played by Bill Nye, who I always in my brain go, Bill Nye, as in the science guy. It's not that guy.
What's Bill Nye in?
Bill Nye?
Yeah.
He plays Davy Jones.
The name. I just can't think of anything.
In Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean, he plays Davy Jones.
He's in a bunch of other stuff, too.
Yeah, I recognize his face. I just can't think of anything off the top of my head. Because, the last one I saw was when Will turned into
he becomes
Davy Jones. Was the last one
Yeah, he becomes a captain of Davy Jones's old ship.
Yeah.
Wasn't Scrimgeour in...
yes.
In the book?
Wait, yeah, because he goes and visits the British Prime Minister and lets him know, like...
Yeah, we talked
about the Death Eaters and stuff. Yeah.
There may be a battle coming.
Oh, no, that
Fudge
was...
did in the beginning.
That was Fudge, never mind.
Fudge gets replaced.
I'm trying to think of the...
I could have sworn he was in 6, because he's mentioned in passing in Order of the Phoenix, and then you were right, he was...
Oh, okay.
He was in the... He talks to the Muggle Prime Minister in 6. So, I knew he wasn't, like... I guess for movie watchers, he's random.
Yeah, I couldn't remember clearly, but I just thought, based on the characters, I'm like, Fudge would never pull himself to go talk to the British Prime Minister about the stuff that he swore wasn't happening. Like, Fudge swore that Death Eaters were no problem, that wasn't happening, and then it was proven wrong.
Well, I think he did, because I remember he told the British Prime Minister, because there's like 2 scenes. There's one that's set right after 3, where he's talking about Sirius, and he's really not not evil like we thought, and stuff like that. And then I think there's one after 5 where he's like, I'm not the minister anymore because I got fired because of this, that, and the other thing. So and then we have the wedding, and if you follow Game of Thrones, people like to
I do not know.
I don't. So there's a scene in season 3 known as the Red Wedding, where a spoiler alert for Game of Thrones, for a show that's been out for several years, but a bunch of people die, and so there's a song playing right before stuff hits the fan. It's called The Rains of Castamere, and people have made jokes that this song that they're dancing to right before stuff hits the fan at Hitler's wedding is The Rains of Castamere.
No.
I
can't remember the exact name, but I actually do have that song in my saved songs on Spotify. But no, that's not the name of it, but no, I could see how people would. If it's anything Irish sounding, people could definitely...
Yeah, it is Irish, because they're doing, like, line dancing almost. I do love
it's
Fleur's
cool.
wedding dress. It has, like, a phoenix.
It's cool.
on it. It's beautiful. We don't get like any of the characterization between Bill and Fleur's relationship. Like, we don't get any of the.
Then we get to see the Lovegoods and get to learn. Well, not learn, but get to see the first glimpse of the Deathly Hallows symbol, which is pretty cool.
I do miss. I wish. I know that Stanislav Ivanovsky, the guy who played Victor Crumb. I know he was there for filming, but his scenes were cut, and all we have is like stills. I do
That'd be cool.
wish he
I got to fist bump him in last July at LeakyCon. It was pretty cool. I didn't pay for any autographs or anything, but
that's awesome. I met LeakyCon 2019. Yeah. I met Scarlett.
Oh, that's cool.
Who
that's
plays
great.
Pansy. She was so tiny.
Yeah.
It was so quick. We didn't really get much. I didn't get much interaction with her, but she was so sweet. But yeah, I was blown away by how small she was. But yeah, that's cool. And then I saw that same day I was passing Chris Rankin, who is Percy. I was asking for him. I asked him to like, hey, could we take a picture? And he's like, hey, I'm actually on a panel in like 5 minutes. If I see you around, I'd gladly take a picture. But I'm like, I need to be across the building in 5 minutes.
Yeah, we did a Weasley family photo with him last July. Because me and my cosplay friends, lots of my cosplay friends, they go to every single LeakyCon or wherever it is, and so we had everyone. We had Arthur and Molly Weasley. My girlfriend was Ginny. I was Harry. We had Hermione, Ron, and we all got to do a family photo. It's actually framed up in our living room upstairs. It's Chris Rankin and all of us, all of the Weasleys, and then Harry and Hermione in there as well. So you have the brother and sister-in-law and the family as well with Percy. And then he's actually holding Scabbers in his hand too. We got him to hold Scabbers.
And then the previous year I met, I was meeting some of my friends at their hotel because it was here in Dallas. And I was waiting for some of my friends outside of their hotel because we were going to go get food. And I ran into Luke Youngblood.
That's cool.
Plays, Lee Jordan. And he was waiting for a taxi, so he had like a couple of minutes to like kill.
That's great.
And he was so sweet and so funny.
That's really cool.
So they, the Death Eaters invade the wedding. Oh, we have a conversation with Alpheus Doge, and a conversation with Aunt Muriel, which I'm so glad we got to meet Aunt Muriel in the movies at least once. Because she's a ever-present person in Ron's stories. They apparate to Shaftesbury Avenue, which is in Piccadilly Circus, which is London's version of Times Square, basically.
I do like this fight scene.
Because
of how all three are doing their wand movements.
Oh, in the cafe?
Yeah.
I love the little the Spider-Man moment.
Yeah.
Where the waitress is like in the back.
Just even watching the films, like, because I first saw that film when I was probably like 10 or 11, and it was just the funniest thing as a kid to be watching that, and she's jamming out while the place is blowing up.
The movie came out when I was a junior in high school.
But yeah, I just like it because you can see Ron trusting his wand movements, saying the spell because he knows his hand is going to end up where it's supposed to be. Hermione is completely stiff, which is how...
Oh yeah, Expelliarmus for every single spell. That's Harry.
Yes.
We've criticized Harry multiple times in this series that the only 2 spells he ever uses is Expelliarmus and Expecto Patronum.
And Lumos. Yeah. Under the...
Okay, he uses Lumos.
I think he does like Stupefy maybe once or twice.
Maybe?
Once.
He uses Imperio in part 2. But I think that's it.
But shouldn't he have gone to Azkaban instantly?
Wait, no, part 2.
No.
Yeah, he did use Imperio. But then Ron uses it as well. As soon as the Thief's Downfall happens, Ron uses Imperio. So I guess Harry and Ron are going to Azkaban. Hermione's got to finish the rest on her own. Yeah,
they saved the world.
I mean, Hermione should also be in Azkaban.
She kidnapped a grown woman.
And then defaced
a teenage girl.
I mean, mainly just for kidnapping Rita Skeeter for a year.
And trapping her in a jar. I will harp on about that until the cows come home. Like, I don't like Rita Skeeter as much as the next guy, but like...
No.
Don't
kidnap
somebody. I will say he has really good instincts a lot of the time.
Yeah. Hey, let's not use the sword on this book. Let's use a basilisk thing on this.
Yes.
So then they escape to Grimmauld Place, and there's that whole, like, I think somebody way back in the day called it Dusty Door. Editing Sarah here, I believe it was actually Dumble Dust, but Dusty Door works.
That is something I would come up with.
I vividly remember, if anyone was in the fandom back in the day, MogoCast. They still exist, but they don't make episodes nearly as much as they used to. But at least I think that they came up with Dusty Door. Yeah, wow. They have been making podcasts since 2005.
Mm-hmm. Jeez.
Which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. So why is Dumbledore's ghost in Grimmauld Place?
It's a protection. And then in the book, your tongue also rolls back.
Hermione in the film, she was like, oh, this was probably Snape's idea to make sure no one came lurking about.
Except they figure out that somebody did come.
Yeah, and the locket.
All the rooms are like rummaged.
The locket's gone.
Mundungus Fletcher. Ultimately, we figure out it's Snape.
True, but Mundungus Fletcher.
Sold on the black market.
Creature talks how Mundungus came in the night. He took many things, and then they realize, oh wait, so it was sold to Umbridge by Mundungus. Well, not sold, taken, because she threatened to lock him up or take away his. Or, no, just lock him up. He doesn't have any license. He's not a licensed seller. He's in the black market.
We get to see Dobby again. They finally had a budget for some house elves, even though Dobby's kind of been ever present in the books. I do love that they gave Dobby shoes.
Skechers. Yes, he deserved them.
As Ron says, wicked trainers. I think it's so sweet. Is this, like, at least in the movies, this is the first time Ron and Draco
gives him a little handshake when he meets him there.
It's so sweet. And we figure out that the locket is with Umbridge, which most people thought she was dead.
Which I'm surprised she isn't.
There's a really funny, funny ha-ha, not funny ha-ha, funny interesting. There is a little moment at the end of 5 where they're in the hospital wing and she's there, like, not doing too hot, and Ron starts making like clip-clopping noises with his tongue.
The centaurs.
And like she freaks out.
So just Monty Pythoned it.
Basically. But he keeps going.
So Monty Pythoning it.
He has 2 coconuts. So they go to the monastery. I love this moment in the book that there's no way to like transfer this line to screen, but I love it. And it's always stuck with me for some reason. There's a line throughout this whole chapter of them being at Grimmauld Place, like, they're treating Creature with the utmost respect. They learn about the whole Regulus situation. And so through this process, Creature becomes more and more kind and nice to them. And he's, like, feeding them, and his cooking's getting better and all this kind of stuff. And there's this line at the end of the chapter where Creature is there with a steak and kidney pie that they'll never eat. And I just, that line crushes my soul. Because he's just there waiting for them to get back for dinner.
He really comes around.
And it's just so sweet.
Snape, or Sirius is the only Gryffindor black, right?
Yeah.
Besides Tonks.
But she's not really Andromeda. We don't know where Andromeda landed.
True. I thought Tonks was...
Tonks is a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
But we don't know where Andromeda was. I assume that she was a Slytherin.
Maybe.
Only because they make it a point to say that Sirius was the only Gryffindor.
True.
But that also could have been an oversight. I love in the book we get a real visual description of Sirius's bedroom.
Yeah, Harry briefly sees it in Order of the Phoenix.
And Regulus's.
Until he's interrupted when Ron finds something. They find they found the note for the locket, I believe. No? Oh, they found the RIB, that's what it was.
But I I love that Sirius's bedroom is like in stark contrast to the rest of the house because it's like Gryffindor colors, and one of my favorite details is there's pictures of like Muggle pictures of bikini models, which I think is so funny.
It is.
It's so serious.
Very Padfoot.
And like Regulus's room is probably untouched, like from like because
when he last lived there,
his family, for all he knew, was like very much into all of the blood purity stuff,
which they were. It's
yeah,
like most of the 28 or
they don't. Yeah, the Sacred 28. They don't really go that deep into. Well, the movies don't do it at all, but the book doesn't really dive super deep into Regulus's backstory. A little bit, like just based on him planting the fake Horcrux and that kind of stuff. But I do wish I don't know if there's maybe Harry finding a letter between the two brothers or something to that effect, but I don't know how we would have found that information out, but I thought it would have been really interesting to hear like Regulus's like thought process defecting from the Death Eaters. That could be a really interesting thing for like an episode of the show to explore, maybe. Because we have more time.
Yeah, I want them to get all the details in. If they're making it, I want them to make it the right way this time. If they're gonna put all this work into doing shows.
I know technically that's not in the book too, because the book is Harry's perspective. But I think with the show, they have a chance to dive into other people's perspectives. Even through a flashback, a pensive memory, a letter that we're visualizing. It doesn't necessarily need to be looking through this person's eyes. I think that could be a really interesting characterization. What were we going to say?
Does Voldemort know where the Horcruxes are? Like, can he sense? So, like
that they've been taken, you're asking?
Or like when Harry moves, does he know exactly where Harry is?
So you're asking if Voldemort has Wizard Life 360?
Yes. Because part of Voldemort is in Harry.
You're asking if Voldemort has a GPS on Harry?
Yes, or just any of the Horcruxes, because like the locket is moving around after they get it from Umbridge.
Yeah.
I think that Voldemort could probably sense the closeness, like if he got close.
But like Harry could sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lord knows where Voldemort is hiding out most of this book.
You really only see Voldemort once.
Yeah, you see him at the
or in this movie. Yeah.
You see him first at Malfoy Manor, and then
you see him attack. Yeah, you see him attack Malfoy Manor. I will get there. That scene is creepy.
But it's just, I think he could sense it. But he also, to make a Horcrux, does it have to be a significant item, or can it be anything?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has to be significant because people are like, "Oh, why don't you just make a grain of sand, a Horcrux, and throw it in the ocean?"
Well, I think Harry asks Dumbledore that, like, can it be like a tin can or an old shoe or something? And I think Dumbledore says, like, I think you're thinking of a port key. He doesn't really he doesn't really answer the question.
Yeah. He may not even know. Because there's only been a record of 2 people making a Horcrux. Hippo the Fowl, and Voldemort.
That we know about.
Right.
And Voldemort is the only one that has made more than one.
I imagine if you're good at it, you wouldn't tell anybody?
Yeah. All I'm saying is, Voldemort could have lived to 150 like Dumbledore if he didn't make the Horcruxes. If you try to be evil, your life gets ended much quicker.
But this is a common thing with villains in film and books, is a lot of the time the villain is too arrogant to be self-aware.
Like Ultron.
I mean, that's true of human beings in general. Human beings tend to let their arrogance get in the way of things frequently. And I think Voldemort is a perfect example. It has nothing to do with Harry Potter, but there's a really interesting video essay on YouTube about real villains of the movie Titanic, and talking about how the real villain of the movie is arrogance of man. It's fascinating, and it's a lot deeper of a rabbit hole than you think it is.
Can you say Ultron is similar to Voldemort with how much arrogance he has towards one life?
I can see where your thought process is.
Ultron wants to eradicate human life. Voldemort wants to eradicate Muggle life and non-pureblood wizards.
Oh, this is the first time we actually hear Voldemort from the horse's mouth in this movie. Mm-hmm. His real hatred towards non-wizards. His real supremacy.
So, wouldn't Ultron and Voldemort essentially be the same?
I definitely see the path you're on.
Because they both want to eradicate one group of people. Because Ultron wanted to eliminate human life for AI to take over, for the age of robots, kind of like an iRobot.
I don't know if I've ever seen that. Have the one with Will Smith?
Yes, and Shia LaBeouf.
So, yeah, then they have this amazing scene where they go undercover in Ministry.
I gotta say that's probably the whole Ministry scene and sequence is probably my favorite scene of the entire film right there.
I vividly remember reading this chapter in the book for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Because I got this book at midnight when I was 13 years old.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And I remember my mom was out of town and my dad begrudgingly took me to the bookstore, and he was like, "Are you gonna stay up all night reading?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You need to get some sleep." And it was summertime, so it was fine. But I remember I come downstairs and I'm reading on the couch in the morning, and he's like, "You look so tired. Have you slept at all?"
Seriously.
And I was like, "No, Dad. They're infiltrating the mystery." So yeah, I love this scene so much. And fun fact, the woman who plays Mafalda Hawker is Emma Thompson's sister.
They are. The whole scene is just perfect. The way
I think that they're perfectly cast.
Immediately switches from them seeing Umbridge in the newspaper to, all right, they're on to another scheme of the Golden Trio. The movie moves very nice, and it's the way they get them, they flush themselves down. It's all fast moving, and then next thing you know, you're face to face with Umbridge or. Yeah.
She is if she could get worse.
But how can she do a Patronus?
She's not a Death Eater.
True. But I thought evil aligned creatures and people couldn't do Patronuses.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Oh.
I do hate that her Patronus is a cat, because my Patronus is also a cat.
But she's also a crazy cat lady.
Yeah, I feel it should have been something
like
giant and
being
evil.
Sweet and cute, and she's
completely
evil. She is even more evil than we had initially thought.
But she was also tortured by the centaurs.
Yeah.
For who knows how long.
But, she is... This whole sequence is a definite allegory to World War II.
Because she also hates...
half-breeds. And Muggleborns.
But she also hates Harry Potter, Harry, Ron, and Hermione for siccing the centaurs on her.
I think it's really interesting that she has formulated this whole Muggleborn Registration Commission with all of these propaganda pieces, and, she is, tracking all of these people, and she has... her office is exactly the same as it was at Hogwarts. I actually think I might like this set a hair more than I did the original Umbridge's office.
Yeah, I love even the visuals of the Ministry to me is perfect. I love all the colors of it, everything going on, and they even clip back and forth showing you what's going on in the Ministry even before you get there, with the new Minister of Magic and how you have nothing to fear.
I wish we got a little bit more with, I remember in the book, there's a little bit of, you overhear a little bit of the conversation of, all of the folks that are making all the propaganda packets. And they're, talking crap about Umbridge. And I wish we got,
it would be.
overhear a little bit of those conversations. I thought that would have been funny. To really paint a picture of,
that's it's not the majority at all.
People
it's just
are not
power hungry. I just love it's very,
we're just here for
it puts you on edge. It's just the whole, you have nothing to fear if you have nothing to hide, and they're randomly grabbing people. And
I think the music in this sequence is dynamite. That's one of my favorite details, is that in the book, Runcorn is described as being, super tall and, big and broad. And Harry's, Daniel Radcliffe's 5'5", so he's supposed to be uncomfortable in these new shoes, and, he feels like his clothes don't fit him right, or whatever it is.
He looks so
And weird. I love the way that the actor was walking. I don't know, it's such an excellent detail. I think that these 3 actors did such a good job of making themselves
Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
I think Imelda Hopkirk, Hermione just acting terrified and timid and not saying a word.
Even her facial expressions. Emma Watson has a very distinct way of the way that she holds her eyebrows when she's concerned. She has a very Emma Watson concerned face. And the woman who plays Mafalda Hopkirk is nails it. And the guy who plays
I love how they immediately, as soon as they get into the Ministry, they just all get split up and pulled around. Ron's busy trying to stop it raining in the office. And
we also meet Yaxley in this movie, who I don't think we meet him in the book. I know that, but I don't think we meet him before this book. I don't think he's a prominent Death Eater before this. But he is something else. We get a line during the battle about how Lupin was battling Dolohov, and Dolohov's one of the main Death Eaters that we hear referenced all the time. I wish that it was similar with Yaxley, because Yaxley's kind of been one of the big Death Eaters in this book. He's been present, so I kind of wish we got a little bit more of a ceremonious end to him. Makes me wonder what happened to him, if he did die, or if he's in Azkaban or something.
Probably all the above. Died in Azkaban.
This interaction in the courtroom between Mary Cattermole and Umbridge. And she's so freaking evil. And this actress who plays Mary Cattermole she's in a bunch of stuff, but I most know her from the Les Miserables movie. This moment at the end of the scene right before they apparate out.
That's perfect.
When Ron transforms as she's kissing him.
Yes.
Or even Harry's transformation when he says, "I shall."
It was perfect.
I love
they're sitting there, and Mary Cattermole's so innocent, and you all know it. And he just, the way, even I've always wanted to see that. Everyone who plays with the wand and stuff, they want to see the wand just slide out of the sleeve, and then you've got it. And he does it right.
I hate that she brings their kids into it.
Yeah, it's immediately stupefy as his face transforms. He quickly puts on his glasses, and then the Dementor.
They might have drank a different amount each. They just scooped it out. So maybe the amount that you drink, the longer you stay. But
is Polyjuice Potion perfectly cued to reveal you at the perfect moment?
No.
Is Polyjuice always an hour? Or because they ask at the beginning of that scene, how long is this batch supposed to last?
That would make sense, because I think it was about an hour for Harry and Ron.
No, but that's the thing. Because Hermione didn't even know. Because Harry asks, he's like, "How long did you say this would last for, Hermione?" And she's like, "I didn't." So they have no idea how long it's gonna last for.
I wonder if there is maybe symptoms of using it too much, because they use it so often in this book.
Ugh, they do.
Even a a Muggle disguise,
right.
like a wig or something, or makeup, prosthetics.
Could be. Yeah, the Ministry scene is just perfect to me. I love it. Even the statue with all the Muggles.
What?
It takes a month to make it.
We knew that.
The Flux Week can only be picked at a full moon, and the Lace Wings has to be stewed for 21 days.
Yeah.
Jeez. Makes me wonder
really
how much
for this.
Jr. made.
A lot.
Yep.
Because he stole from Snape. At least there wasn't a description of it. There wasn't a cauldron or anything going.
So, I mean, it could have just been in his office. We never saw it in his office.
This was actually them apparating out of the Ministry is the last shot that they filmed in principal photography. They had to do reshoots of the epilogue. So technically the epilogue, which I think is honestly kind of fitting that the epilogue is the last thing that they shot. But this was the last thing that they shot in principal photography, which I think is kind of anticlimactic.
Like they tried, if you watch the clips of it, they like tried to make it like very meaningful, like, oh, we're jumping into something new, but in reality you're watching them just like plop off to a map.
But so the effects of a single dose last from anywhere between 10 minutes and 12 hours depending on how well the potion was brewed. Continue drinking prior to transformation wears off the extended form's duration until the next dosage was required. So if you take it twice in an hour, it cancels out the first one. It doesn't add on.
So you really gotta like...
The complexity of the potion was such of the one Hermione brewed in her second year only lasted 1 hour per dosage. The effects could be removed prematurely by certain magical defenses such as the Thieves' Downfall, and it also did not affect the Marauder's map. So the Marauder's map would still show them as the real person.
Oh, that's interesting.
If a person dies under Polyjuice potions such as Miss Crouch did, they would retain the form of whoever they transformed into, rather than reverting back to their original shape. Although it might be possible that the effects of the potion had not worn off at the time of her death and burial, she was careful in taking it to the end. And Barty Crouch Sr. could not retrieve his wife's body in fear of exposing the jailbreak, possibly meaning her body reverted after the burial.
I find that whole storyline incredibly tragic.
It appears to adapt the account of age of the person being transformed into, such as any injuries they have acquired, such as Barty Crouch Jr. needed magical eye and wooden leg when he used the potion to turn him moody. Harry did not need his glasses for the hour he was Goyle, but Hermione and the other 5 required glasses.
Yeah, she says, like, Harry, your eyesight really is awful.
So, you get all of their illnesses and everything.
Because I remember, like, Harry could see, like, his vision getting blurry. So, yeah,
So, Lupin and Hagrid cannot take Polyjuice. Likewise, the potion was not designed to be used by any non-human or half-breed, such as Lupin informed the...
Okay, Hagrid. I didn't know about Lupin. I figured...
They can't, because Lupin already transforms.
I did not.
That's interesting.
And Hagrid can't because he's half-giant.
I never thought about Lupin. Interesting. Thanks for that information, Harry Potter Wiki.
Yeah.
So yeah, they go to a forest. They apparate to a forest, and Ron gets splinched. They go, and this makeup job is so
he just got hit with a spell as they were.
He's basically kind of being like pulled in 2 different places. It kind of
because Yaxley tries to grab onto them.
Like you get pulled at. Yeah, it looks so painful.
True. Pretty much just pulled apart.
When they learn at the 6th book, there's a girl that like splinches her leg off.
Ooh.
Must have been clean. I bet he actually was like
there's not any
tearing and clawing at Ron. He probably wanted to, even if he couldn't get him where he wanted him, he probably just wanted to hurt him. But it looks so painful. Like Rupert Grint's acting during that was.
Oh, it's so good. I vividly remember when this trailer came out for this movie, and they had digitally edited out the blood on her hands when she goes to do all of the spells. They digitally edited out the blood off of her hands.
Yep. I remember seeing the still of her and her hands aren't bloody.
Before the trailer came out, they released like a bunch of stills.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so this is when we get all of our camping. Yeah. And we get to see a lot of different landscapes. And the UK has like so many like mountains, and they shot in some gorgeous places.
Shot a lot of it in the Forest of Dean, which I used to have like as my computer screensavers and stuff.
Go ahead. The Forest of Dean in the I think where the Quidditch World Cup is.
I believe so. Yeah, it's a huge sprawling forest. They just camp everywhere. They camp like under bridges, and
they go through a trailer park at one point.
Yes, that's under the bridge.
There's a little deleted scene where they're tossing
I agree.
Which I think is a really sweet Ron Hermione moment. And all the while we get the background.
Yes, it's like a very and the sound, the score, the song for that in the background is like very just edgy violin, like screeching with the music or with the radio going, and they're like hiding in barns and they see the Death Eaters flying across the sky.
The line, I guess maybe love is not the right word.
Oh yeah.
There's a line where the radio host says, "Thankfully, the list is short."
You're like that. That's put some salt in the wound right there.
A super long list. This sequence is so good. I know that it gets some criticism for Matthew included for being too much camping.
It's just a lot of camping.
I think it's just because you're used to these movies being really like action packed.
Maybe.
And when there's a lot of downtime, I can see why
it gets very, very dull.
I just think I don't know how to articulate this properly, but I think these camping scenes do so much to illustrate just how anxious they are.
Even though there's lots of anxiety, it gives you a chance to kind of settle in with the characters and settle in with what's going on, and you know something's going to happen, but you're like kind of relieved. You're like, okay, we just got out of the ministry, like we're going to try to rest here. We know we can't stay here forever, but let's just sit here, settle in for a bit, make sure our three main characters are okay. In reality, everything else is turning to absolute crap.
I love there's in the book where they steal food from a grocery store. There's a moment, and this kind of culminates in them kind of having a fight about the food and the food situation, which then kind of blows up into this moment when Ron leaves. Hermione's cutting Harry's hair. I
always quote that with all of my Harry Potter friends. Like when we're cosplaying, we go to Universal and we cosplay all the time, and lots of us have fun, like we stay in character, especially when we have like little kids and stuff running up wanting pictures. Like it's fun to be in character. But that's always like my main quote. Like if we call each other by character names in the parks because it's just easier to remember. Like you see Lupin, you're like, hey, Professor Lupin, but we actually know their real names. But I'll hear them yell like, hey, Harry, and I don't know who said it. I'm like, what? Just like Harry when he's getting his hair chopped by Hermione. He's just so. It's like, are you going to finish cutting my hair, or are you just going to run off to your book?
And she's talking about how the sword is impregnated with basilisk venom. And
Ron has to come.
And this is like a ding, ding, ding light bulb moment.
Yeah. Which brings up one of my favorite plot holes.
What's your favorite plot hole?
Just...
that Harry should have died in the Chamber of Secrets?
Yes.
That the Horcrux...
that the Horcrux and Harry should have died. But I read recently, like a week ago, that Horcruxes healed the Horcrux.
That makes sense.
From dying. Which I'm like...
And this is what pisses off Ron. And I asked the other day for some people's input. I like to do this because people have some really interesting points to make. And somebody asked, is Ron really that good of a friend? And it's a really interesting topic of discussion I wanted to bring up, because I think this moment, along with a good chunk of Goblet of Fire, is just, he has his shining moments. The chess set in the first one, he is very
he really blows up. Like, I would think if, at least me so with my friends, and all my close friends that are guys that I've gone to school with or anything, it's kind of like, if there's something that you kind of have a problem with, you just kind of bring it up because you're that close of friends with them. You can talk about it openly and you still respect each other. Whereas Ron is just kind of bottle it up and then freak out at Harry, like, oh, you're the chosen one, you get this and that. I don't have the privileges like you. It's like, if you care about him, if he's your friend, why don't you like bring these things up? Like, hey, were you and Hermione doing anything out in the woods together? Like,
well, and it's also like he has this whole thing, like, you don't know how I feel, and it's like,
and then you'd be lost without Harry.
Is as anxious as you are, arguably more.
But also, Ron's wearing the locket. Which is just adding to his insecurities.
Which my whole thing is, why do they need to wear it?
so that they don't lose it.
I guess in their defense, the Hermione's never-ending beaded bag gets taken.
Yeah. So, but that also brings up kind of like what I was saying last week, where the Horcrux, the number that in the order that it was made, the more it affects someone.
Yeah, this is Matthew's theory.
So this might be completely wrong, but I'm going with my theory on this one.
There's no way to disprove it.
Yeah, was able to completely control Ginny because his diary was the first Horcrux.
It had the most intact soul.
And then next was the ring, which was cursed to destroy the hand of whoever was wearing it to try to destroy it.
Yeah.
We also learned that each Horcrux had its own defense.
Yep. And then the locket was next, I believe, which was Ron was wearing it. It brought out all the insecurities. So it went from 50% diary, 25% ring, 12.5 locket, and then 6.25. Weaker the Horcrux, the less it would affect whoever was with it, which it would explain why Harry also never really affected the Dursleys with having Voldemort in him.
It would also explain why Voldemort is looking less and less human.
Yeah, because he loses... Voldemort has less than... I think it percent-wise is less than 1% of his soul.
Wow. That's insane.
Harry has more of Voldemort's soul in him than Voldemort has in himself.
Harry, at one point, when it's just Harry and Hermione's having a tough time getting over Ron's gone, Harry's ready to apparate, and he looks over, and they're in the woods. I believe it's the woods that they get chased in by the Snatchers. And Harry's ready to apparate with Hermione, and Hermione's over at the tree finishing tying up her scarf. And then, I might be mistaken, but when they come back from Malfoy Manor, that's the first place that Hermione thinks of. So they go back, Xenophilius, that's what it would be. That's the first place she thinks, and then they turn around and there's Scabier with all the Snatchers, and I think Scabier is wearing Hermione's scarf.
Yeah.
I've never noticed
that. I could be mistaken, but I don't remember him.
How did I notice that?
Yeah, I don't remember him having the scarf.
I never put that together, but that makes me love that moment.
Cause I'm pretty sure he's when they apparate there, he's leaning against the tree with the scarf in his hands. And he's like, "Hello," and then they start running, and he's still playing with it. He's like, "Don't wait there, go snatch him."
Yeah, you're right.
He's like, "Don't hang about." And then he's got it on and stuff.
Well, and he's like all creepy about gosh, that makes me love this movie even more.
Apparate to the burrow.
Because it would put everybody in danger.
Why didn't they?
Yeah, they already were attacked.
How do they know that they're at the burrow? At the
burrow, it's already been attacked.
No, what I'm saying is people living at the burrow could be somewhere else. Because the only ones there would be Fred, George, Molly, and Arthur.
And Ginny. I guess Ginny's at Hogwarts.
Yeah, Ginny's at Hogwarts.
Yeah, he saw everyone. That's why Hermione... Because she explains it to Harry while she's healing up Ron. She's like, I knew once you actually saw where we were, we couldn't go there, so... She panicked, and then Ron got splinched. This
crazy. Is the one and only time we ever get a song with lyrics.
Still wizarding.
Other than can you dance like a hippogriff?
A Muggle song.
I was going to say Guild Ball has songs.
But no, I mean an original, not an original song. It's a song,
Nick
a
Cave.
Muggle song. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure. I need to look this up because it's
that song single-handedly put me on to all of Nick Cave's music since I was about. He's like a British icon.
Oh, he wrote Red Right Hand.
He's got some good ones,
which is very prominent in the Scream movies. It's this song by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Red Right Hand, is used in very prominent moments throughout the franchise. I don't know. It makes my geek heart happy. It's directly after the video store scene where they're like, everybody's a suspect.
Oh, yep, okay.
It's directly after that when the town is being boarded up because of the curfew because there's a killer on the loose.
Paramount Plus.
But yeah, I absolutely recommend you watch Scream. All 6
Me
are on
neither.
Paramount Plus now.
I'm not a huge fan of horror movies, but I love Scream.
And we'll be covering Scream in October.
So yeah, we get the Harry Connick dance scene.
Mm-hmm.
I love it so much. I've made fun of it too, like, but I love it. But it allows me to make fun of it. I have a TikTok with 1.3 million views making fun of this exact scene. It's like these little dogs dancing to the song to "Oh Children," and the caption is like, "Hey, nobody," and then ... it says, "Harry and Hermione after being chased by Death Eaters and their best friend leaves, and they're just dancing around to this song."
If you listen to the lyrics of "Oh Children,"
it does.
It is perfectly.
That's right. They're trying to stay happy during a very dark time.
What they're going to. I've always interpreted this scene as he's trying to like at least make her smile for a moment.
I'm not any better at dancing, honestly.
He is not.
He dances like my dad at weddings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think it's so funny. This scene is just so sweet.
Yeah.
I think it genuinely is a testament to like the actors and their chemistry as well.
If I want to go into the scene thinking of it as like, oh, it's romantic, then I could see it. But like, if I'm just watching the film and I'm like, this is nice, it's very sweet with their friends. But I don't know, I love it. It's they definitely have the chemistry together for that. They didn't feel forced. They didn't look forced or anything.
I just think that they really, given the fact that they didn't have all of the cards early on, they were not able to characterize their relationship properly. And I also think it really came down to the fact that I just think Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson just had a better romantic vibe.
Yeah.
But also, I think in the book, Harry is like almost annoyed by Hermione. That's not to say, I mean, like, we're married to him, he drives me crazy. So that's not to say that, like...
Same here.
That's not to say that you can't be annoyed by your spouse or, like, the person that you care about, but, like...
Definitely not in this. I would consider myself in that boat, yeah.
Harry Hermione shippers are Emma Daniels shippers.
I think of the books and films as two completely separate. So I'd say film versions I ship them, but book versions definitely don't ship them.
I'm hoping that the series eventually is able to portray Ron and Hermione's relationship accurately, so that people don't necessarily get the same feelings. Because I do think that they are, I mean, the whole crux of this podcast in the beginning, we've kind of moved away from it since, but like in the beginning, the whole crux of this podcast was the fact that we are polar opposites and we're trying to meet in the middle. I think that Ron and Hermione are that way as well.
Yes.
And they bicker like an old married couple.
Yeah.
And I feel like our relationship, we relate to that in a lot of ways. I love this scene. I think it's really sweet. I would even listen to this song isolated and have apart from this scene. So then we go to the...
This always scared me so much when I was a child. Bathilda Bagshot transforming into a snake, I was terrified as a kid.
And I wish there was that war memorial in the movie. There's like a war memorial that like transforms into like a statue of James and Lily and baby Harry. And there's like sweet notes to Harry left on it. It's very sweet. I have a super vivid memory of this scene watching it in the theaters. We went as a family with some family friends to the theater on Thanksgiving, and I, with one of my really close family friends whose son is a year older than me, we were like waiting for the movie to start, and we were laughing, and I was eating popcorn, and I like started choking on a piece of popcorn. And so then, like, the movie starts, and this whole scene was, like, had me on the edge of my seat, and I just, in the middle of this snake scene, I just started choking on popcorn again. And so I always
Bathilda Bagshot, or Nagini's version of Bathilda Bagshot, looks like she's choking on popcorn when she's transforming into the snake. Like, so oblivious to it. He's, like, genuinely, like, thinks she's an old lady. He's helping her light the matches. And he's like asking her about this, and then she's like, there's like blood splattered all over the wood ceiling and rafters with flies, and that's immediately when, like, before she sees anything more, that's when Bathilda transforms, and Harry's like, Hermione, like, and then they start dueling.
Described as like Nagini was like hiding out as Bathilda.
So Harry can sense when a Horcrux is close.
Yeah, and there were 3 in that room.
So why didn't Harry feel? No. Because there was such little Voldemort in Nagini?
Well, kind of going back to what we said in the beginning, in the movie they make a point to do this little, like, ringing sound. And we hear it a little bit in this scene. And Bathilda, Nagini, whatever you want to call her, she, like, looks at Harry's face and then looks down at the locket on his chest. And there's, like, a little moment where, like, you hear the sound.
Something's off. Of course there's going to be ringing and stuff because I have the locket on me. So, of course, it's going to feel weird everywhere I go.
Especially because there's 3 in one room.
Yeah, his scar was hurting so bad. Even when he glanced at him from across the room, his scar hurt.
So, I mean, with an actual piece of Voldemort's soul in there, but still, it would have been... What did we say percent-wise was the locket?
I don't even know.
12 and a half?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it still would have been less than 13% of Voldemort's soul would have been in there, so I doubt Harry would have noticed the change in him.
It's really interesting when, so Nagini comes out of the body, the way it's described in the book is horrifying, and they blast through a wall into a nursery. Mm-hmm. There's a moment, that was shown in the trailer, right?
Are they somehow did they somehow, like, go next door to Harry's old house or something? Because they're just in this nursery. But
it's very clearly a nursery, because it's, like, baby blue, there's, like, baby toys, there's a crib.
Maybe she babysat Harry when Harry was young? Like, as a baby?
But why would she have a room in her house?
Or
why would she
even
stay
for, like,
there?
her grandkids?
I mean, we don't know anything about Bathilda's personal life.
I know that from what I read on Wiki, she's always lived in Godric's Hollow. So that
or if,
like,
I don't know,
her son's room or her grandson's
or if she
room.
Does she live in that house completely alone, or is it like a shared house? Sure. Is that does she have like
that set dressing was very weird?
Yeah, is that I might be thinking like,
was it a?
Because I think that's a very common thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners. I think that's a common thing in the UK that they, a lot of the times, like a older person whose like spouse might have passed away or like their kids moved out or something, they have extra bedrooms, so they rent it out. Always thought that was really weird. Because when we see Snape's worst memory or Snape's pensive thoughts,
the whole upstairs is pretty much done.
Apart.
Like
and even when we see the house from the outside, the room is like blown apart.
Yep.
So it's not possible that there would still be like working electricity and like.
No, the house blew up. The house.
The house exists, but it's just the upstairs is blown up.
Yeah.
I just always thought. I don't know why my brain always lingers there, but
it was pretty for what it was, like hearing the Christmas music and everything.
Yeah, because you figure out that it's Christmas because there's a group of people leaving the bar and there's Christmas music playing.
Yeah.
So I love that this is like one of the only times where we figure out the timeline of events.
I mean, we know the timeline of the events in the others.
Well, no. I mean, in this book.
True. I mean, my biggest complaint with Hogwarts, or this isn't even with the movies. I mean, kind of. But with Hogwarts Legacy, I wish we could explore more outside of the area.
Even just London, Muggle London. They show you in London at first, but you can't explore London.
At your fingertips.
Yeah.
Not just like the Hogwarts area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You go from London to Diagon Alley to Flying, then Gringotts.
Yeah.
And then you're in the forest.
Or Harry's wand is broken as well. Harry's wand is broken. You find out. Because I've always loved Harry's wand. It's always been super cool. And that thing's done for.
You learn a little bit more about Rita's book about Dumbledore.
Hermione's reading up on it.
The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore. And this is when we first get our introduction to Gellert Grindelwald. And in the book, I remember there being a whole chapter about, like, Dumbledore's backstory and talking about what happened to Ariana and...
Yeah. Whereas in the films, it's like, just
they're basically reading
Harry having flashbacks and whatnot.
The only time we ever get outside of Fantastic Beasts...
Yes.
Fantastic Beasts,
it's kind of
they don't exist.
Upsetting.
The only time we ever get anything about Ariana is the portrait. I loved this in the book, and I'm hoping we get, like, possibly a whole episode, if not an extended part about it, about this whole, like, fleshing out Dumbledore's backstory.
There's some good... there's some good fan films on YouTube and stuff of it.
Exactly what happened to
the greater
Ariana,
good and stuff like that, but still, it'd be nice to see something official. I thought we were getting with the secrets of Dumbledore, and turns out absolutely nothing.
No, because why tell his actual secrets?
Yeah, let's just title the movie after it, but not actually tell.
I think that was definitely, like, fan bait.
Something about that scene, like, watching it in pitch black, it was a little bit creepy because you feel like you're in the forest with them. And you just see, like, first time watching the film, because you know what's going to happen from the books, but you don't know when. So first time watching the film, you see this kind of blue orb, and I'm like, what is going on here? And just the music, it ramps up with it, and it's very mysterious. He finds it. You don't know if you should trust it or not, but it turns out it's helping him out. That's such a cool sequence. Him stripping down, it looks so cold. Just going in his underwear into the water.
And Ron saves him.
Yeah.
And we get one of my personal favorite scenes is the locket, what's inside the locket.
Yep.
I think this is one of the scenes that the movie
absolutely nailed. Just the sequence of events from... You're on the edge of your seat that entire time. You're like, okay,
way to do this.
Ever since Bathilda Bagshot turns into a snake, you're on your seat the entire time. There's no rest. Like, you go straight from apparating, his wand's broken, to, oh crap, there's this doe in the woods. Oh crap, there's a sword in the lake. And then, very claustrophobic seeing him getting pulled to the surface of the ice, like, he's getting choked out by the locket. And then you see Ron pick him up, and then, it's... okay, he's safe, but then the locket, like, just another... They just keep on coming, like, the action and the turn of events. But the locket was perfect. It just... The spiders everywhere, the voice of Voldemort.
And we finally get... The Harry, Hermione shippers finally get their makeout scene.
Yes. Yeah.
Apparently they shot that completely covered head to waist.
That'd be funny. I know they had to remove Rupert Grint because he was laughing too much during it.
Like I wish we got behind the scenes.
They kicked him from set. But, like, growing up, I always thought they just did it with CGI until I actually watched some stuff. I'm like, oh, wow, they actually, like, is Ron going to believe this? And is he going to do anything about it? Like, and the fact that they placed Harry sitting next to the... Literally, Harry's leaning on the log that the locket is on. Like, he's sitting next to it. So when Ron charges, if you're, like, a first-time watcher, when Ron charges with the sword, you don't know if he's going to slash at Harry or if he's going to hit the locket right next to Harry. And Harry covers.
Probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire series. Like, I just...
Yeah.
Especially this little moment. Harry is still clearly very mad at Ron.
He's like, why'd you come back? That's the first thing he said.
Yeah, exactly. Why
did you come back? They didn't even get
a
chance to, like... make up for it. It's just,
he's basically
all right,
like, I need you to prove it to me, dude.
He's like,
the whole question of, like, is Ron a good friend, I think, is a difficult question to answer. Because, like all of us, because we are all human beings, we're all flawed, I think we all have moments of, you said something really crappy.
And did something very crappy.
But I think it's really a case-by-case, book-by-book basis, I think. And I think you also have to give Ron a little bit of credit that he's a 16, 17-year-old boy. Lived a relatively privileged life. He doesn't have money, but he's a pure he's a pureblood. He's never like, he's always
really
been
had,
loved.
like,
He's always been
loss,
taken
I don't
care of.
believe.
He's always been, you know, like he's a pureblood. He's never been discriminated against.
It's very basic, but it's all that a guy like Ron could ask for.
He's lived a pretty charmed life. Yeah, and I think that you have to give him a little bit. It's the same reasons why I give Cho and Lavender a little bit of credit, because they're teenage girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I think people forget when they grow up that you need to have a little bit of perspective the other way. And how would you behave as a 16, 17-year-old person?
And I think it also depends
in the same situations. I honestly think I would behave
Ron,
a lot worse.
despite what he does, despite his blow-ups, how does he redeem himself?
Given the
like when he comes back and says, like, I regretted leaving as soon as I left, and as soon as the lock goes off me, I regretted leaving, but I didn't know how to find you. And like his speech, like, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but his whole speech to Hermione was just perfect.
I don't know if anyone remembers this, but this might just be my brain.
Probably just your brain.
But
to be completely honest,
during the 2011 Academy Awards, I lost like everybody.
Yeah, you did.
But they did a whole sequence where they did like they took like scenes from movies that year and like made songs out of them. So it was Deathly Hallows Part 1, Toy Story 3, The Social Network, and I think there were a couple other ones. But the scene that they took from Deathly Hallows Part 1 was this scene, and they did like, and it's like a little ball of light. And I can't watch this scene without thinking of that. I highly recommend looking it up on YouTube. It's really funny. Came back in the end, so I think that shows.
But I think they know him, and they can read him so well that they know
it doesn't
that
make what
he's
he
sorry.
did right.
And Ron's not good with words, so he's not going to be one to come up with a nice, perfect sounding apology. So he lets his actions show. Yeah, like even afterward when Harry and Ron are in the tent, Harry's like, oh, just keep talking about that little ball of light and she'll eventually come around. And then
I love that little bromance moment when they're like, this is the first mention we have of Hermione's little flames that she makes. Then we go to Xenophilius Lovegood. Yeah. And I love how they're standing from afar and they're like, Luna.
Mm-hmm. I love the tale of the three brothers.
So, is it Rice Iphans? I don't know how to say his name, but he is. You don't follow Game of Thrones, but I know a few people that I know listen to this do, and he is in House of the Dragon, the prequel series. Is Otto Hightower, which is, to anyone who knows Harry Potter and Game of Thrones, is like mind-blowing. You got me the Hogwarts library, which I had at some point, but like my parents have moved so many times.
I love the Beatles and the Bard. I still think Dumbledore would Dumbledore be death or would Harry be death?
You know why I think you love it so much?
Why?
Because it's their equivalent of the Grimm's Fairy Tales.
Yeah, I think so.
Xenophilius Lovegood. I love this whole sequence. I love that how awkward this scene is.
He's so disheveled. He's so all over the place.
This scene is.
Everyone's so uncomfortable. But yeah, it's also dramatic in a way. Because like, you know something important's happening, but it's happening in a very awkward, unpredictable way.
This is when we get the explanation of the Deathly Hallows, which is one of the best sequences in the entire freaking series.
I love the art style.
This is so freaking unique.
I love the ink art style, which I can't even talk about it.
Why?
It will spoil something.
Just say it. Everybody's seen it.
No, in Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to give anything away to you or to anyone else who hasn't played Hogwarts Legacy, but there's something really cool
that deals with the Deathly Hallows.
Yeah. You'll know it when you see it, trust me.
Yes. Just kind of like what we were just saying, it is vastly different than anything else in the game.
Editing Sarah here. So the audio got compressed when I asked Luke about his time working for the Wizarding World, specifically in reference to the show that they do in Diagon Alley about the three brothers. So that's a little bit of context. Sorry that the audio got messed up, but
get bumped around to different zones. So I actually used to share a bathroom and break room trailer with some of the performers there, and yeah, it's really cool. I never got to like there's not many behind the scenes of like the puppets and stuff, but they have their own like giant trailers back there where they keep the puppets and they practice their performances, and there's so much technology that goes into it. Honestly, there's so many tech guys standing there in corners. Yeah, they're strapped on because it's not just holding with their hands. There's these full metal bars that go on these like waist belts.
I'm sure they're
so like they don't have to lift the puppet. It's completely held on by this like waist belt that's propped.
Yeah, I imagine it's
I've seen video.
I
just saw a video today actually of that.
Show at Disney is.
It's the same thing. It's like it's like a body.
I haven't been, but I've watched enough Disney content on YouTube.
Yeah, but yeah, the whole show is great. All the tech people are great. Like the actors are super talented, and the tech people are very talented as well because they're the ones standing in the crowd with their tablets and they're getting all the animatronics to go, all the slides to change, the music, sound effects, all of it. Yeah.
So there's a show at Universal in Diagon Alley where they do the Tale of the Three Brothers.
The actor who's controlling the puppet of the father, one of the Peveril brothers, they put their puppet down and they put on a mask so they look like they're like the young boy, but like wooden version. It's all the style of like the cartoon, and then they put on an actual like big silk cloak, and this giant death animatronic rises up. It's amazing, and I always loved being in that zone at night when I was in Wand Magic. I'd be doing the Mermaid Fountain, and that show would be going on over and over. And the music, they use mainly Deathly Hallows Part 1 music for the show as well.
But what's your... So, I know this fan theory's been going around since...
He's been itching to get this out.
So, the theory goes Dumbledore is death.
Yes.
He's the embodiment of death. Because he had all three Deathly Hallows in his possession. And the line goes... The youngest brother met death as an old friend. So Dumbledore is the master of death.
I can see that, but then again, I also see is like when they say he met him as an old friend, they talk about at like the very end of his life, like he escaped death the whole time and then met him at the very end. But that does make sense. I've seen that floating around how he had all of them in possession at the same time. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Or is Harry death? Because he had all three as well.
No, he's just the master of death.
Yeah. But wouldn't Dumbledore be master of death as well?
I don't think it's necessarily that they can evade death or they can withstand.
I thought the master of
death... It doesn't make them immortal. That's what Voldemort seems to think.
Because the master of death was...
It's basically just kind of like, these are the only three things that death has given the mortal world, and you are the master of all of them. At least part of the legend is.
Like, so, do you think death actually made it, or do you think it was just the three brothers made those three items? Because there is the line that Dumbledore says he doesn't believe that death was real, that it was just the three brothers were so advanced with magic, they created these three items.
See, because the way that most legends, urban legends, the way that most, even like Native American cultures, all that kind of stuff, a lot of these stories stem from somewhere and then kind of like develop over time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I would say, I would guess that it actually came from death just because all three items are so different from anything else you see. Like, and just any other wand does not look like the Elder Wand. Like, from the runes to everything.
Or one of a kind. Yeah. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It could be. They could have been trying to create
I'm willing to suspend my disbelief.
Do you think the Philosopher's Stone was a recreation of the Resurrection Stone?
Yeah.
That's not a bad...
Because people recreate the invisibility cloak.
And I don't
with
doubt
Jimmy Guy's hair.
I don't doubt that.
And I'm guessing people have tried to recreate the Elder Wand.
I don't doubt that because Nicholas Flamel and Dumbledore are friends. I don't doubt that maybe they can, kind of would discuss kind of some of these topics.
So could the Philosopher's Stone? Because Dumbledore
maybe Flamel informed Dumbledore because Flamel is like
Dumbledore didn't know that the ring that he had the Resurrection Stone.
But Flamel is like super old. He's like 600 years old.
True. So the Tale of Three Brothers was from the 1300s.
No, but I'm not saying he is one of the Pepperell brothers.
No, I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying he
could have
from that time.
He could have tried to
recreate
it. And it could have informed Dumbledore about it and was like one of the reasons why Dumbledore was so obsessed with them. I feel like if Voldemort and Harry are both related, then that makes sense that Snape would also, or somebody.
No, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Voldemort is related to Cadmus. Because Cadmus is the one that had the stone.
Yeah.
Ignatius didn't have a kid because he died as a young wizard. And the eldest brother...
Antioch is the oldest,
got murdered in his sleep.
Oh, that's right.
As a young... Or, no, I don't mean young as in the youngest wizard, just as a young wizard.
We don't know if he had kids. I mean, you can father kids super young, so...
I would have imagined it happened fairly soon after he got the wand, because it said he immediately went... he was immediately boasting it around, so it couldn't have taken long for word to get around.
He has no kids.
Do we know that for certain?
It's not on the Harry Potter wiki.
If it's not on the Harry Potter wiki, it doesn't exist. So... I remember in the book they had the Lovegoods have this horn in the house, and they think it's a crumplehorn snorkack, which is this creature that they keep seeking after that everybody doesn't think exists. It's actually a rumpant, which if you've ever seen the first Fantastic Beasts movie, the giant rhino thing, which I don't know. I think it's one of the few things that Fantastic Beasts does really well is tying in little things.
Yeah.
That, like, if you're paying attention, Fantastic Beasts will, like, perk your ears up.
Yeah. It will.
So, yeah, the house... we learned that Luna was captured because of what he's been writing, and, as evidenced by this, Luna is my favorite character. And I remember reading this in the book, and I was like, she better not be dead.
Yeah.
I would have been so mad.
I think everyone would have been mad.
She's just a sweet little angel.
Yeah.
She didn't hurt anyone.
No, she did not.
So this is when we kind of learn about the taboo.
Yes.
They don't really say it in the movie that much. But in the book, it's that the name has been cursed.
Yes.
I mean, didn't Arthur say it in 3?
No, it's just like a social taboo up until this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a swear word.
Yeah. They made it a big point in this film to show immediately after he says Voldemort. That's when the first hit happens. And they're getting down.
And they managed to get away. In the book, we have a few more weeks, if not... it's at least a few weeks.
Yeah.
Before they get captured. But we go straight into the Snatchers. And I'm now rethinking my whole, thing about the whole scarf thing.
Yeah.
That literally never occurred to me once.
No. And I love how between Lovegood's house and the Snatcher scene, in the films, there's no chance for a breath. And Ron...
They think they're safe.
Yeah, Ron literally says what the audience is thinking. They apparate into the woods, and Ron was like, "What on earth was that about?" He's that cheeky little bleeder, like
treacherous little bleeder.
Yeah, treacherous little bleeder. And then he's immediately like, "What on earth is he talking about? Like, what the heck was that?" And then he looks,
and I love how Harry and Hermione are looking the other direction, and
yes.
Ron is like he's like, "I'll do the transfer or the spells or whatever," and he walks up to that line of trees and he like stumbles backwards because he sees the Snatchers, and then Harry and Hermione turn around and they're like, "What's going on?"
Yep.
And that's when Scabier goes, "Go on, snatch him."
Yeah, and then Hermione shoots Harry in the face to disfigure him. Which I'm like, what's the point of that anyway? Because they know it's Harry.
Also, don't they know what Ron and Hermione look like?
I would hope so. Like,
they are the three most wanted people in the wizarding world right now. So, I mean, in all honesty, it just felt like Hermione just wanted to hit Harry. Is honestly what it sounded like for all of the 6 years of torment that he's given her.
I think she was it was like a last-ditch effort.
Yeah. Deathly Hallows 1 is just Hermione's movie of getting her anger out. She gets to hit Ron with the backpack, and she gets to hit Harry with the spell in the face.
It's just the payback.
She also gets to pull, yank hair out of Harry's head.
Yeah, she's violent in this film.
She's violated them all.
Yeah.
She kidnapped a grown woman. We keep harping on it, but
for a year. and gave her 2 leaves to eat.
She's like, "I put leaves in there. She's fine." And I love how in the behind the scenes the trio were like making this into a race. Like, this was so fun for them.
They were going so fast. The cinematography of that entire scene is so great. Like,
I usually do not support the use of shaky cam.
Yeah.
As a film nerd, I hate shaky cam.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 like more recent uses of it that I will support are this movie and the first Hunger Games movie.
Yes.
When she like has the tracker jacker venom, and she's like hallucinating.
Mm-hmm. Or even when she first gets into the arena, and it's like she's so disoriented, and like the thing sounds, and everyone's running to the cornucopia. Like, I would say that's worth shaky cam because you have no idea what's going on.
I usually hate shaky cam because I find it so disorienting. It has to be very warranted, and I think both uses here are warranted.
I would say so. It really feels like you're running along with them up and above the logs, under the logs. You feel like you're falling with them, like when Ron gets taken down and Harry and Hermione.
And then we go to Malfoy Manor.
As Vernon.
And this scene is so freaking tense.
It looks vastly different than it did 1 movie ago. Or at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, because all the furniture's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It just looks cold and gray and just...
Well, it makes you really wonder what... I mean, I don't think Lucius and Narcissa are necessarily the warmest of parents.
No.
But it makes me wonder what it was like for Draco growing up. Like, what the house
he was
like.
Probably raised by Dobby.
Or if they had other housekeepers and stuff.
Yeah.
He's been in the papers for like 2 years at this point.
Like, let's bring our high school kid to come check, because we don't know. We spent our whole career searching for this kid, but let's confirm.
We don't know what he looks like.
Like, who cares? Even if it's not him, just call the Dark Lord. Like, let's check. At the very least, Voldemort would have gotten Ron and Hermione out of it, so that would have been some of the reward.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I wish we got more in the movie of... Because in the book, Ron was, like, losing his damn mind.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we got more of that. Ron is a little too cool and collected for me.
Yeah. He was more so just kind of, like, pissed. Whereas, like, he didn't seem, like, absolutely disturbed by Hermione.
And we see Ollivander and Luna. And in the book... Dean is there. Dean Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a Muggle-born. Which, okay, he's not in this scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning of part 2, he's at Shell Cottage.
I've never seen him in the beginning of part 2 at Shell Cottage.
He's there. He's definitely there. He doesn't say anything, but he's definitely there.
Wow. I've never seen him in that. I'll have to rewatch it.
If he's not at the very beginning of part 2, he's at the very end of part 1 when Dobby is dying.
I know he's not at the very end of part 1 because I watch part 1 very often, but
you just see his face in the background next to Luna. That's like the only shot you see.
Okay. I could see that. I'll have to rewatch.
It's very weird. Like, he's there in the book.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They interrogate Griphook about the sword.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Bellatrix knows that they took something from her vault.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of is what triggers in their head that, like, oh, there's something in the vault.
Yeah, she wouldn't throw that big of a fit over. Absolutely not.
Which leads me to ask, did Bellatrix know? Or did Bellatrix just know there's something of Voldemort's in her vault?
I thought Bellatrix had to put it in the vault.
She might not know it's a Horcrux, though.
True. But
you might put 2 and 2 together, though, if Voldemort asked her to put.
Probably not, because he didn't really confide in anyone.
But I mean, they have a kid, according to Cursed Child.
Don't even. if you do the math, she's supposedly pregnant during the scene, because she was born before the Delphi was born before the battle, and this is after.
She's the same age as Albus.
No, she's older. She was born before
the prologue's 30 years later.
19. Yeah, because Bellatrix dies. But it's also because the battle happens in May, right? Mm-hmm. This scene, the Silver Doe scene, happens on New Year's Eve.
Mm.
Well, at least I'm theorizing because Harry says in the book something about, like, it's about a week after the Godric's Hollow thing.
Yeah.
So we can presumably say it's New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So this is the very, very earliest, like early February.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Bellatrix is presumably pregnant.
Right.
If you think about it like that, this makes the scene so much weirder.
It does.
No, it can't be February. It has to be March because there's no snow on the ground.
Because in the book, they're at Shell Cottage for a month.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And the battle happens on May 2nd.
So part 2 takes place in, like, a week. No, like 2 days.
Because there's a whole line about Harry is, after all the battle things happened, he makes a note to himself that they only left Shell Cottage yesterday morning.
Right. So a lot happened.
So yeah, part 2 is literally just one day.
Yeah.
That's crazy when you think about that.
It is.
I've been waiting to say that. Yeah. Because it's one of my, like, I'm a big, like, timeline person when I read books. I always want to know, like, what happens when.
So which one is Shell Cottage?
Phil and Blur's is what I was about to call them. Bill and Fleur's house.
Okay, so I mean, so they were there all of April essentially. So Malfoy's had to be April or March.
Because there's a month between Xenophilius' house, at least a few weeks between Xenophilius' house and Malfoy Manor. In the book, at least.
If Bill and Fleur is right after Malfoy Manor, then Malfoy Manor has to be March.
I've never really done the math about it, to be honest with you.
Because, yeah, if they were at Shell Cottage for a month before the battle, and the battle was a day after they left the cottage, battle was May 2nd, so they left May 1st.
Yeah.
So and all the Green Got stuff happens. Because
the Gringotts stuff happened, so...
May 1st?
May 1st is when they left Shell Cottage.
Like, early morning on May 1st.
So then, they were in Shell Cottage all of April. So Gringotts happened in March.
No. Gringotts happened right before Hogwarts.
So then... But you just said that literally before the battle, it was a day.
Yeah.
Since they've left Shell Cottage.
They left Shell Cottage to go break into Gringotts. And then went straight from Gringotts to Hogwarts.
So, still, Shell Cottage was all of April.
Yeah.
So, Malfoy Manor had to be in March.
Mm-hmm.
If they went from Malfoy Manor to Shell Cottage almost immediately. So then, Lovegoods had to be closer to end of March.
Yeah.
Just because, there was
We don't know how long between...
Yeah.
The
I'm just
Lovegoods
estimating because there was no snow on the ground.
Yeah, and there was snow on the ground during the Silver Doe scene.
Yeah.
And so, there was no snow when they went to Lovegood's house.
But they were still wearing coats.
It could have been 50 degrees, 40 degrees, but not cold enough to snow.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Never really done the math on this.
Timeline-wise is also a thing I'm good at.
So yeah, Hermione gets tortured. One of the best pieces of acting from Emma Watson.
Crazy.
But I guess when you have Helena Bonham Carter literally on top of you screaming her head off, it's not hard to react.
Yeah.
I love this little touch. Love is not the right word. But I like this little touch where they carve the word mudblood into her arm.
Yep. It's crazy.
It's one of the best only movie things that happens.
Yep.
I think it's incredible.
Right. And if you look closely at that same scene, you see Bellatrix's hair float down.
Yep.
Nice.
And then Dobby shows up because of the mirror.
Yep.
They kill, or in the movie they stun Wormtail.
Yeah.
In the book, he literally strangles himself.
Yeah, with the silver hand.
Because the whole thing that Voldemort set up like a safeguard when he gave him the silver hand, that he wouldn't be able to like help Harry.
Yeah, if he wasn't loyal at all, it would kill him.
But he didn't betray Harry, or he didn't betray Voldemort.
But he helped Harry.
Yeah, his action technically let them out of the dungeons.
I mean, Wormtail's also just a moron, and
he is.
His death is actually very violent.
My whole thing is, if your friend turns into a rat as an animagus,
you should know.
You should know something's up.
Mm-hmm.
If your other buddies turn into a stag or a wolf, and then your third friend turns into a rat, that should tell you something about that dude.
There's strong, loyal, and then there's just...
Some people keep rats as pets, though. Some people don't think rats are disgusting, which I think is bizarre.
But he also never stood up for himself, and...
It really makes me wonder what Wormtail's home life is like.
And his name is Wormtail.
No, it's Wormtail because
of the rat. But still.
It makes me really curious about his home life, because if you think about it, the Marauders, other than James, all kind of had tragic lives.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We don't know anything about Wormtail's life.
No.
But James grew up as like the spoiled little rich boy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I wonder if there's any information about Wormtail's life or his parents or his family or anything.
No. I've discussed this with other friends before, and no, they've said the exact same thing. We don't know anything about Wormtail's life.
Because we know about Remus's life.
Yep.
Because there's a Pottermore article about it.
Yeah.
And that's actually very sad.
Hmm.
But, like, to be that much of a coward, either his mother coddled him like crazy.
Yes.
Or his caretaker, I should say. Or he was abused.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking it up. He was a true hat stall.
Slytherin and Gryffindor?
It doesn't say.
I imagine it's probably Slytherin and Gryffindor.
Yeah, I would guess.
Probably.
His death is so violent in the book.
Right.
His mother was a witch, but his father's blood status was unknown. Yeah, there's nothing. Slytherin or Gryffindor. It took 5 minutes for it to decide.
That would be agonizing.
Wow.
And then you spend your whole career at Hogwarts wondering, is this where I'm supposed to be?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's even worse than how Harry had it.
Right. His actions spoke, though.
Oh, yeah. It makes me wonder, because Dumbledore was a teacher at that point.
Yep.
I don't know if he was quite headmaster yet.
Who?
Dumbledore was a...
Yeah, he was the headmaster when...
McGonagall was a teacher as well, too, by the time Marauders were there. So It makes me wonder if they had seen the signs, maybe?
McGonagall called him...
Maybe they did.
She called him a lumpy little boy who always followed them around.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, because they said it.
I mean...
Professor McGonagall would describe Peter Pettigrew as a stupid and foolish boy who hero worshipped Sirius and James. She also stated Peter Pettigrew was less than an average student and was not capable of fighting with Sirius. She was somewhat harsh with him during their years as a student-teacher relationship. So even McGonagall, who's nice to everyone...
She's strict, but she's kind.
Not to him.
Yeah.
So she knew something.
When we saw he was a coward, she was like, hey, you gotta stand for something, stand up for yourself. Find something that you like. Don't just worship your friends. Like, make a name for yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation, definitely, to be had.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this part's hard to talk about, because Dobby is like...
Yeah.
There are people that don't like Dobby.
What?
I can't believe they exist.
He's amazing. It's perfect. His whole scene right there. He's...
Of I never meant to maim or seriously injure.
Yeah. Everything pauses and they all look up and he's up on the chandelier unscrewing it. And man,
then
we're so close. We're so close. They were out of there perfect until you see that knife disappear.
Yeah. You know Noble Collection sells that dagger, by the way?
Oh, my girlfriend has it. She cosplays as Bellatrix.
That seems a little bit too close to home.
Yeah.
Like, the dagger that killed Dobby, you can own it.
Yes. You can display it in your living room.
Something about it feels weird to me.
Yeah.
I know he's a fictional elf, but still.
Yes.
So Dobby dies, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I remember when this movie came out, I went to a midnight screening, and even though we all knew it was coming, we all were sobbing.
Yeah. It
still gets me every time. I've seen this movie 800,000 times.
They handle it in such a tragic way, because Harry, being Harry, he's checking, making sure everyone's okay, like running around the beach, making sure, hey, you okay, and then...
Some people criticize Ron and Hermione for not doing anything.
As a younger child, I used to, but...
Okay, 1, Hermione had just been tortured.
Yeah.
So he's going through...
2, her bag was taken.
Yes.
So...
She's dealing with her own trauma.
How is anyone supposed to do anything?
Yeah. I feel like they should have...
They should have been a line.
there should have in the films, because as a young child watching that, I used to think that too. Because Harry's literally begging Hermione, like, do something, like, get me the vial, yeah, the Dittany, and like she's sitting there, and like as a child, if you didn't pay attention and saw that she still doesn't have the bag, like you'd be like, what is going on? Like I thought
I wish that there was at least like Ron had said like, oh, we don't have any of our stuff, or she tries to get up and she like falls over or something.
She could simply just like look around. She's like, it's gone. Like panic, and that would be even a bigger heartbreak of her just realizing like, I don't have it. Oh, sorry, Harry, I don't have it. And then they all just kind of have to accept it. Like that would have been.
Everybody could be like looking around and being like, did it make it with us? Like, oh, it's gone.
Like we can't turn back from this. He's gone.
Yeah. There's a line at the end of this chapter in the book. There's a line, I don't know why I latch onto these things, but there's a line about like his glassy eyes reflecting the stars he could not see. Which crushes my soul.
Yeah.
It's so sad. And Luna's like, let's close his eyes so he's sleeping. Which, Angel.
Yes.
And then we go to Voldemort grave robbing.
Music picks up. It's the perfect movie
in the world.
They must have done, this is really morbid, but they must have done some kind of spell on Dumbledore's body because he's like perfectly preserved.
Yeah. To be fair, he didn't die that long ago though. But
because we don't know when Voldemort actually takes the wand, we just see him take it.
He's been looking for it this whole movie.
I'd say maybe a year.
Yeah,
like
Dumbledore would have been decomposed by now.
Oh, throughout this whole movie, we get little flashes of like Voldemort looking for it. Like he goes to see Gregorovitch. He goes to see Grindelwald, which in the book Grindelwald doesn't die.
He's like, it's been with Dumbledore this whole time. You're an idiot, and that pisses Voldemort off.
So yeah, then Voldemort has the Elder Wand and blasts it in the sky, and we cut to credits.
Yeah, it's an epic ending to an epic movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And this is like ever so slightly halfway through the book. I remember there being speculation of where they were going to cut it in half. And I think that this was probably the best place they could have done it.
Yeah.
They had to end it on either... I guess this isn't ending on a high note, but ending it on...
a what's going to happen next note.
Like a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Yep.
And frankly, this movie ends very bleak. And the next movie starts very bleak.
So Voldemort only had the wand for a month. 2 months, max.
Yeah, but it's not working for him.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, he spent all this time and only to use it for 2 months and not use it or not be able to use it correctly.
So that's the price he pays.
Because his arrogance.
Hey, at least Voldemort attacks the school at the end of the year every year.
He really cares about those kids.
He does.
He cares about their education.
He just wanted to make sure the kids got their exams.
But then always mess something up in the last month so that they don't have to take their final exams.
But to be fair, he's taken over Hogwarts. How much are the kids really learning?
Yeah, not much.
But, like, why just take over Hogwarts? Why not take over, like, something else?
Because Voldemort's crazy. Like, you could take over the entire world, not just a high school.
So is there, like, Muggle, like, wizard elementary schools?
No, I think they're homeschooled up until 11.
Yeah.
Which explains why all the kids, like, know reading and writing and basic math.
You don't ever see a writing class in Hogwarts.
Yeah, but they write essays. They write tons of essays.
That would suck to have to write with a...
They write essays at 11 years old. I don't think I wrote essays until, like, at least middle school.
Yeah, middle school.
At least.
Right.
And even in the early days of writing essays, you're only writing, like, maybe a page.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is a wrap on Deathly Hallows Part 1. Thank you so much for being here. Do you have any final thoughts, anything we missed that you would like to bring up?
No, that was enjoyable going through the entire film. I love all of that film, every detail, every scene, all of it. So it was nice being able to go through it all. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Can you tell the people where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, so you can find me on all social platforms at The Potter Player, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. I also run a merch shop where I sell my own merch. It's just The Potter Player shop. It's all designed by me.
So thank you so much for being here. It was so much fun. We recorded for like 3 hours.
Oh yeah. Is that the longest podcast to date?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fun
No way.
To edit.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here for the penultimate episode of the Harry Potter series.
Record breaking. Thank you so much.
We had so much fun.
I did too. Thank you so much. I love geeking out on this stuff. So thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. This is awesome.
You're welcome back anytime. If you have any other interests.
I will. Everyone go check out the Fan Club podcast. This is awesome. Thank you.
Next week we will be covering Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, the end of the series. The end of an era, I guess.
Yeah.
Hope you all have a great night. This podcast, please consider checking out our merch store at thefanclubpodcast.myspreadshirt.com. You can get exclusive designs designed by us on t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and many other items. We will have limited edition designs in the very near future. Be sure to follow us on all of our social medias for updates on what we're working on in real time. We're part of the Needlessly Nerdy Entertainment Network. They're a conglomerate of podcasts and blogs that provide entertainment, news, and reviews about all things nerdy, including movies, TV, books, video games, tabletop games, cons, pop culture, and more. Go check out all of the amazing shows on the network at needlesslynerdy.com.
Needlessly Nerdy, your source for all things nerdy.
www.needlesslynerdy.com.